Welcome once again to the Ben Smith Coach Show here on the Bear Network. I'm your host, Gary Ownbey. All of our programs are produced right here in the studio 812 at Brighton Central High School in Mr. Gwen Schroer's audio video class. I'd like to thank them up front for that. You can watch all of our shows on YouTube. Just simply search for BCHS.TV. When you get there, hit the subscribe button. It's totally free, but it'll notify you anytime there's a production for your viewing. I'd like to welcome once again our head wrestling coach, Ben Smith, who's always great to come and sit with us and interview. And Coach, I'll let you introduce these guys here who were wearing hats, so they were worried about their hair looking good, girls, so don't worry. They look pretty good and their hair's combed. So.
Right. So, well, thanks for having us. And
always.
So this is the kind of the heart of my upper middleweights and a pretty significant core group of our seniors, and just a really good group. I mean, some teams are better than others, and some teams are more pleasant than others, and this one is it's a combination thereof. This is one of my favorite teams to coach. So it's transactionally, transformationally, on and off the mat. These are three of my just favorite guys because they're good. They're good people, and so yeah, I'm excited to have them on with us. So I've got my 170-pounder Wade Brooks, my 182-pounder Knox Watson, and then my 195-pounder Lane Hicks. You know, all have been with us from late kids club, mid kids club, up through Lake Forest, and then all been in and with us since their freshman year. You know, Wade is a 3-year starter, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And Knox is one of our few 4-year starters. He got in the lineup as a freshman. And then Lane has been in and out of the lineup, but this is really his first full year outright starting for us, which is kind of it's not necessarily unique, but we're kind of known for having first and second year starters as juniors and seniors that kind of come out of nowhere. And these guys have all been in and out of the rankings and currently in the rankings all year, and really just an anchor for that upper part of our lineup. And if you want to win state championships in high school wrestling, you need to be good up top. And so we have a chance to win a state championship, and it's because these guys up top are holding down that top half of the lineup. So I'm just glad to have them with me today.
You got guys like this can lead the team, and the other younger guys probably look to them and say, hey, what are these guys doing, you know? When things are not going exactly right, maybe the train gets derailed a little bit, hey, we get back on the track.
Well, you got to have a little bit of a likability factor. Yeah. You know, I mean, you can be intense, but you still have to be likable. You can be kind, but you still have to be able to be forceful. You know, there's all different types of leadership, but like I look at these three guys particularly, you know, I mean, like I identify with Bryson because we wrestle a lot alike and we have a lot of that type mindset. I identify with Luke because he's cerebral, he's smart, he has other interests away from wrestling. I identify with these guys because they're the kind of guys that, like, when I was in high school, like, I would want to be around. They're nice guys. Like, they're, you know, and again, I'm not saying they're perfect. You know, I know that there's some people out here that are like, those guys, but, like, they were the type of teammates that I would want to have. Yeah. You know, they're good guys. They pick you up when they're down. They'll give you a ride home. You know, they'll get you food. You know, they'll push you. You know, they'll hold you accountable. So this core, that's kind of why I selected these three to come together because they're just really, you know, they're practice partners, but you know, they're very identifiable with the type of teammates that I surrounded myself with when I was in high school and college.
Lane, what got you interested in wrestling? How long have you been wrestling? When did you start? What's your first memory of being on a wrestling team?
6th grade at Lake Forest was my first year.
Do you have somebody else in your family that might have wrestled before you?
My dad wrestled in high school here at Bradley.
Okay, so
his dad's also one of our Lake Forest assistants, and he's one of my assistants at the high school. So Lane's connection with the program runs pretty deep.
Sure. Well, and you say that about a lot of kids. You know, it's just sort of a DNA kind of thing. As Chuck Clark will say, it's in our DNA. You know, we're going to be part of this. Knox, I know you play a little bit of football as well,
yes,
and doing quite well there. But you've been wrestling a long time as well, I assume, too, then.
Yes, sir. I started in 7th grade, and it was actually Wade and Luke Belcher that actually got me back to wrestling because I did in kids club and stuff, and then I kind of really didn't enjoy it, and then they kind of brought me back. So here I am.
Thank goodness he's back.
Well, he didn't start with us. I'm not going to hold Buck and Holly accountable for that. But I went to a kids club tournament at Lake Forest one day, and I saw Buck there, and I thought, you know, his dad's Buck Watson. He was principal at Oak Grove at the time. And he actually was still one of our football assistants. And I was like, hey, Buck's here. And I saw Knox in the wrong color singlet, and I thought, what in the world have pigs flown and has Hades frozen over? But There's a reason why he didn't like it, and we're glad that he didn't. But he came back to it as a seventh grader, and he's been with us ever since.
Well, that's good. And Wade, did you start that young too? I mean,
Well, I started back in I think it was 5th grade maybe that I got into it, and it's been just about the only thing I've done since.
I always like to ask you guys, what's the hard part? What's the tough part about being in the Bradley West Pro? I know it's not for everybody. It's a tough sport. It's a mental sport. It's I've said so many times. It's you against the world out there. You can't just tap out and it ain't tag team wrestling like on WWF or whatever. It's one man against the world, and it's to you. What is the hard part of that?
I'd say the persistence you have to have in and out every day. It's a grind, and you just have to be in there and be persistent.
Knox, anything stick out in your mind about it?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Wade. Just coming every day, because some practice is harder than others, but when you get a really good practice, it's draining, and it's really hard, and you just got to keep on coming back because we're trying to win state titles. So.
But you guys are in an elite program here, one of the top programs in the state, year after year after year. That's just what Bradley does, and how Bradley's represented wrestling. And the guys that take time off or goof around, that's the guys you're going to beat. That persistence and that competitiveness and that fire that you have to be successful. And Lane, you agree with that? Is that what it takes to be a winner?
Yeah, it's got to be how strong you are mentally just to persist through day in and day out.
It's not like a team sport where you're playing basketball. I'm tired, take me out, coach, or football where let's give me a breather. Let me go in silent while. There's no breathers, When that match starts, coach, you've been there, you've done this a long time, and that's what you look for out of these guys.
Well, 100%, and the human side of that too is, they nailed it. That's why wrestling's different. That's why individual sports are different. But on the high school level, there's only one combative sport in the nation, and that's wrestling, and it's different. And that's why I kind of say it's not necessarily in our DNA as much as we kind of view ourselves as the Navy SEALs of high school athletics. We're usually here earlier, we're here later. What we do is tougher, and it's not anything against the other sports that might have higher levels of athleticism or whatever, but the work ethic and perseverant nature that it takes to be a wrestler in this nation, it's difficult, and the human aspect of it is and we're a very relational program. Wrestling's emotional in and of itself, but when you're close with your kids like we try to be, you can share things with them, and it's like literally today. These guys were here at 6:30 this morning with Coach Cordell having a morning practice. They'll do it again on Thursday, and we've been grinding, out of, the past 14 days we've had 8 weigh-ins, and 2 of those days were Sundays, it's, I was texting my wife I just found out basketball's got a game on Friday, so we've got to set up for a JV tournament Friday night instead of Friday afternoon, and I'm struggling right there with them. It's hard to be here and do what we do at this level.
Yeah.
And that's what we talked about yesterday at practice, was, and it wasn't necessarily the varsity side of things, but we've got guys, girls, JV. We've got 50, 60 kids in that practice room every day, and it's hard not to focus on the negative at times in the room, because the negative sticks out more than the positive, because the positive is overwhelming, But I was texting my wife literally before we walked in. I was like, I'm just struggling today. I'm struggling to... man, I don't want to be here Friday night setting up. I want to come home and see my family, because we got regionals on Thursday, we got a tournament on Saturday, and we got sectionals on Saturday, and it's like, man, we are in the grind right now, and you better be tough.
Yeah, you got
and physically, we don't question it with these guys. They're tough, but it's the mental and emotional side of it where it's like, they're like we tell them, like today, there's about an hour window today where I'm like, man, I don't want to be here today. I'm tired. I'm tired just like they are, and I know what we ask them to do is above and beyond, and that's why we value them so much, and that's why they're very special to us. But you better be tough mentally. You better be tough between the ears and in your chest to be on this team, because it's a grind.
We're going to talk about your upcoming schedule in a minute, but before we go, I always like to ask the players here, or athletes, whatever, looking ahead, 20, 25 years from now, what do you see yourself doing in a career? Are you going to be married with a big family, with a bunch of kids running around? Or are you going to be whatever? But what would your career, after wrestling's behind you, what would you like to be doing down the road?
I honestly have no clue at the moment.
Good answer.
Still trying to figure it out.
It's never a wrong answer, by the way, when you ask this question.
It's not a wrong answer.
And in your high school, hey, you got a lot of time figured out. Knox, you got any idea what you'd like to do?
Yeah, so I want to coach football. I want to coach linebackers.
That's what runs in the family, does.
Yeah, kind of. But yeah.
How about you, Wade?
I don't know. I feel like wrestling, it gives you a strong foundation of just like hard work and,
Yeah.
you know, like the
You're used to
persistence.
that. Yeah, you're used to that.
So
you know.
I see myself, I want to be an apprentice. I want to join the union as an apprentice and
There
get
you go.
my electricians like the apprenticeship.
So
stuff.
good.
I asked that a question one time. I seen a dad later on that said, I didn't know he wanted to do that kind of thing. So it's always
Yeah.
interesting to see what everybody have in mind. Coach, bring us up to date. We had a program last week. What's happened since then? And then let's look at what's coming up for you here.
Sure.
A lot
yeah.
of stuff going
Yeah,
on, boys
just,
and girls.
Just to follow up with these guys, I mean, like it's a, you know, I've hit that point in my career where I'm 20 years deep, and I get to see a lot of their parents I went to high school with, and I've, you know, I've just hit that point in my career where I get to see kids that they're now young men and they have their families, and you know, I mean, like Coach Blackman, he's my assistant, but I coached him as a senior, and he's 36 years old, and he's got 2 kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just look forward to seeing what these young men turn into and the families that they have, and you know, I hope that their kids look at them like my kids look at me, and their wife looks at them like my wife, for the most part, looks at me when I'm there, and that they can have a career that, like, even on days where it's like, man, I've got an hour window where I'm like, man, I'm struggling. That I still, at the end of the day, it's like, you know what, you're making an impact, you're doing what you want to do, you know, you're doing what the Lord's called you to do. So, you know, there's a lot worse out there. When you've been to places I've been and you've seen worse, you know, you can put that into perspective. So I look forward to doing life in the community with these guys. In the very near future. Catching you up to speed, I mean, these guys were off this weekend. We had a little bit of a lighter week, kind of an active recovery week. They had a Saturday off. Me and Coach Blackman and Coach Matthews, we took our JV to a varsity tournament at Saudi Daisy, and we had our freshmen at a JV tournament in the same location, so we had that taken care of. We've got regional duels coming up Thursday at McMinn County High School. We will wrestle either McMinn, Walker Valley, or Ray County. We won't know until tonight. Cleveland will wrestle, I don't know. It'll be whoever, they're involved in that triangle that's happening tonight. But the ultimate goal at the end of the day is to wrestle Cleveland at 7 o'clock at McMinn County High School for the regional dual championships. They're the defending state champion. We're the defending state runner-up. Whoever is going to be the number 1 seed in the state tournament bracket will come out of that match Thursday night. So it's a very big match. So we'll take a quick break on Friday, practice, and then Saturday we'll host our JV Chattanooga area tournament while me and the varsity load up, and we'll head either to Oakland or Murfreesboro to wrestle them if we don't win the regional championship. If we do win the regional championship, then we'll host the sectionals that night against Blackman or Oakland. So everything moving forward after Saturday is postseason. And we can practice and we can chill and we can get ready for, we don't have to set anything up. We don't have to worry about anything but practice, get on weight, get on the bus, go win.
But I had a question here. I'd written down there.
Sure.
This time of year, at this point in the season,
Yeah.
what are you doing, you and your staff, to prepare for the postseason? Is you're probably not tweaking or fine-tuning anything. If it's not there, it's not there, I guess.
I would agree with that. Yeah, and in the same breath, like, we're not going to get a ton better between now and then. You know, the conditioning's not going to get a lot better. The base has been made, but like to a certain extent, like we're about 90% where we need to be. So like me and the coaches, we're looking at detailed things, weight descents, who's going to go where. We're spending more time, like what we've got going on here is a lot of times on autopilot, and they know what to expect and they know what we expect. We're trying to do our job as coaches and have every bit of information and then some, so that we can get these guys where they need to be. And you know, and again, I mean, we may, you know, Cordell and Blackman, they watch a little bit of film here and there, and we kind of know each other. You know, hey, this kid goes here and this kid goes here, and I'm looking at lineups going, this guy might go here. But really, at the end of the day, we feel like what we do at Bradley is better than what other people do at their place. So we're not too focused on what other teams are doing. We're hyper-focused on what we're doing. So,
Okay,
you know,
that makes sense.
does that make sense?
Yeah,
so really,
absolutely.
staying healthy, you know, staying on weight, staying positive, and like kind of reading with each other, like, hey, where are y'all at today? And like even me being communicative with him, like, look, I ain't having it today. Right? We've got an hour to get it done today. I'm not going to be here for an hour and 20. get it done because we all need to get out of here type thing. But, you know, overall, you know, we're in a good spot. You know, I'm a little frustrated with practice yesterday, and I think that they've picked up on that. But it's not necessarily the boys' varsity side of it. But I'm so picky because I know what's coming down the road, and I know what's coming behind us. That it's a total program effort that I'm really focused on right now.
Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule, especially this time of year, to join us on our program here.
Anytime you interrupt my weightlifting class, it better be important.
Wade, Knox, and Lane, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good luck, you know.
Thank you.
Do what you got to do, maintain that weight, no injuries.
We need to get him. Well, Wade's a big 70-pounder. Knox doesn't really cut a lot of weight. Lane needs to gain weight, but let's sit in the big weight cut group. So,
Okay, that's good then.
so they can go eat a sandwich.
Well, good luck, Coach.
Well, thanks, man.
Let's win some more trophies there.
We're gonna do our best.
Until next time, for the Bear Wrestling Program, this is Gary Ownbey saying so long for now. God bless and go Bears and Bearettes. Can't forget the girls.
That's right.